Hello and welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN's Nintendo show. I'm your host, Casey DeFreitas. I am joined today by Per Schneider.
What's up?
Zach Ryan.
Barp, barp.
Tom Marks.
Hello.
And that's it. Those are all the people we have today. But we will be talking about...
You should have gone back around to Per.
Yeah, and Per
Schneider.
Hello.
So we're going to be discussing the new Switch rumors. Again, they came around back last October. They're back. Also about a Kirk Scott quote about how he hopes more indies get the chance to collab with Nintendo, and a whole bunch of other news, and also the Yoshi review that Tom just completed.
Hooray.
Which will be publishing around the time that the show comes out.
No, it's already out.
Now.
It's already out now. So if you're listening to this, you can go read the entire review.
Yeah.
But hey, first off, let's talk about the new Switch rumors. So basically, the Wall Street Journal claims that Nintendo is working on two new models of Switch. One is a Pro version, and another is a cheaper version. And Eurogamer has its own sources, which is basically corroborating what the Wall Street Journal is saying. We first heard these rumors back in October with even less detail. Just, oh yeah, this is happening.
Same dude from the Wall Street Journal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Mochizuki.
Yeah, he's out of Japan, right?
Yeah.
He's their Japan correspondent.
But yeah, I think there are the credible rumors of a hardware iteration, and then there's the kind of the talk about a hardware iteration. Just like you can say with a lot of confidence right now that PlayStation 5 will be announced either at the end of the year or the beginning of the next. You can say that Nintendo, a company that has always iterated on its hardware, will iterate on its hardware. And, the Switch being both a replacement for a console and a handheld, that makes a lot of sense to happen now, right?
I think that this being the second time that this rumor has come up in such a way, and the fact that now Eurogamer is in on it as well, leads me to believe that this is probably pretty substantiated at this point. And I wonder how pissed Nintendo is about this.
Well, it happened last year at the worst time. You don't want a rumor about a hardware change to come out before the holiday season, right? So that wasn't great. But
certainly didn't hinder hitch sales. The Nintendo hitch.
But it's kind of funny. Like we talked about this last year, and we said, well, they'll either do a version with basically the controllers built in, like a 3DS replacement that's cheaper, or they'll do a Pro version, probably with more RAM, and you'll be able to chat on your headset and all of that cross game. And it sounds like now the rumor is they're both.
Right.
Yeah.
And the cheaper one, I think part of the rumor was that it won't have rumble and certain things like that to kind of cut down on price.
Yeah.
People have also said that the Joy-Cons won't be detachable. It'll just be one unit.
Yeah,
right.
It will just be, it's the 3DS replacement, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like the 3DS is going to die because there's not going to be much new software. So it makes sense for them to do something also with a smaller screen. Just like the 2DS is a weirdly wedgy, budget version of the 3DS before it. Not that.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the driving point here is their handheld space has always had two iterations. There's always been two versions of X thing, right? So this totally makes sense that they would do the same situation on Switch, because a Pro version makes a lot of sense for dedicated console players, and a handheld version makes sense for people that are a little more casual.
So the question is now, will the one with a built-in Joy-Con, will you still have a dock or a connection to your TV and you just have to buy a Pro controller to play with it? Obviously, that would require that the machine has Bluetooth and all of that and be able to use an external controller. Or will they say, it's a Switch, but you can't actually switch? Just like they said, it's a 3DS, but it's actually
2DS, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do a similar 2DS thing, but not exactly that. I wouldn't be surprised if they sold it. It could dock, but it does not come with a dock.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's possible where they're like, hey, if you're already on a Switch and you want to take it out on the go.
I hope they say, hey.
Hey.
Their marketing is like, hey.
You got to switch at one another. No, there's... Oh, I just choked. Just killed Zach.
Okay, we killed Zach.
I'm sorry. But I think there's the possibility that they might do something like that where, just to cut down costs, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for that terrible New York accent.
Well, Brian's not here, so
I know.
we got to fill in. Yeah, I mean, they've done this with their handhelds where they left out, in some territories, they left out the adapter, the power adapter, and they're going to cheap this one.
I could also see them doing a USB-C port at the top of the Switch, and you just plug in a cable,
Right.
like USB.
I would kill
USB
for that.
C to HDMI or something.
Oh, man. That's what I wanted on the Switch from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But they still haven't come out with that. So
Yeah.
would they actually come out with that now?
Yeah.
I hope. I mean,
I would
Nintendo-
love to do that because I'm tired of carrying
Think
my
about
dog with me.
how much they've changed about their consoles, their hardware over the years, right? They've always released either slight iterations inside where they made the chipsets cheaper, or they dropped an output, or they added something.
Yeah, I remember when they dropped the GBA slot out of the original DS.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
And then they released an
Still
N64
makes me sad.
with a Pikachu stuck to it, with its cheeks lighting.
Oh, yes,
The one-
iteration.
Sam's got that one.
Oh, the N64. Yeah.
That's like the featured 64 at Sam's
That's right.
desk.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hideous.
Yeah.
I love it. It's cute.
Shocking.
Yeah. That's so weird.
Because it's Pikachu.
Yeah, no, we get it.
Very on brand.
But let's talk about the Pro one. So, a more powerful Switch. The problem with that is that you now have to introduce scaling into games, and it's not that huge of a problem because Sony's doing it, Microsoft's doing it.
I mean, to an extent,
PC developers are doing it.
to an extent, Switch already does it, right? Like it scales, it throttles based on frame rate, based on whether you're docked or whether you're playing in handheld mode.
They had a few games that were new 3DS only as well. I know Xenoblade Chronicles was only
Xenoblade
played on-
Chronicles. What was the other one? The big one. Monster Hunter Ultimate was. Yeah, I think.
Monster Hunter. No,
4
Monster Hunter
Ultimate?
Generations. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate and Monster Hunter Generations could be
They
played
worked on both?
regular. Yeah.
There was
It just
Binding of
had-
Isaac, though. There were a couple of things that had some unique hooks
was
for the 3D.
Better played on the new 3DS.
There was
It had
one
the
specifically
nub.
that was like, I forget what the killer app for the new 3DS was.
There wasn't one. There was no killer app.
Well,
It was
It
just
was Xenoblade Chronicles.
maybe.
yeah.
I think
Hyrule Warriors not running at a horrible frame rate.
Yeah, that's right.
the thing that this
game being
conversation, the thing this conversation actually makes clear, at least, is that anytime you do a hardware split like that, where a new version is stronger and can play things better or different, it is confusing and weird.
Yeah.
Like, at least to me, it just causes confusion. And I don't know. I'm actually genuinely curious if people out there are bothered by that sort of thing too, because it seems to bug me a lot more than it bugs a lot of other people I talk to.
But that's because you still have a dial-up phone. Most people have iPhones. And
That's
they
true. Tom
upgrade
doesn't
over
even have a
time.
cell phone. He just pulls out like a full rotary phone
Yeah,
out of
that's
his
right.
pocket. It's really wild.
Picks it up, goes, hey. Yeah.
It's me, Tom Marks over here.
Oh, no. So what would they have to do with the Pro or the more portable version to make you guys want to buy one or the other?
1080p screen on the little Pro.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be number one. Better battery life. Fix friggin'
one.
HD rumble. Fix
Yeah.
that HD
I
rumble.
turn it off.
I hate the way it sounds. Like, yeah.
in handheld
really?
version. In handheld version,
yeah,
it's awful.
It's awful.
Oh, yeah, it kinda
It sounds
rattles
like
everything.
when you put your phone on the desk and your phone rings. It sounds like that just in hand. It's such a nitpick thing, but it
You
really
get
bothers me.
excited about very little things.
I was
And now
playing-
introducing quieter rumble.
Yeah, that's fine.
I was playing the World
$400.
Next Door with that on, and
Yeah.
I had to immediately turn it on. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Really?
In
Yeah, I was
handheld
playing.
version,
I was
yeah.
playing. I forget what game I was playing, but I was in bed and the HD rumble. My roommate's cat hangs out of my room, and the HD rumble came on and scared her. Like she just jumped up and was like, "What the hell?" Yeah.
For me, it would just be fixing. Like, I just want to see them iterate on a lot of the little design flaws, like structural design flaws that
Better
have cropped up.
kickstand.
Better kickstand,
Yeah.
better dock, better kind of the click on and off of the Joy-Con.
Yeah.
Like, I'd really love to see, along with whatever this Pro is, a Joy-Con improvement as well, because I think that the Joy-Con over the last 2 years have just been kind of like I really like the Joy-Con, especially like I'm probably in the minority of people who like the way they feel. Like I really like the form
too.
factor of it, but man, there's just so many little problems that have popped up over the last 2 years, like desync issues
Yeah.
and like left stick
Left stick drift,
drifting,
yeah.
like the thing not attaching anymore. There's so many of those that they could just fix with another iteration.
Yeah. I mean, one thing, if the Pro is oriented towards people who take Smash Brothers really seriously, for example, you could imagine that, they'll change the power and the headphone plugs to be in a better spot. For example, they'll kind of remix the inputs,
Yeah.
and maybe they'll add something like a modem direct support for the system without the dock. Like some of those ideas might happen.
Yeah,
but I got a feeling I have a feeling it's going to be more like new 3DS, where there's an incremental update and structural, like you said, structural improvement, so the Joy-Cons don't get stuck and all
Right.
that kind of stuff.
My dream feature, and I don't think this will happen, but my dream feature is that they say, and we're making Joy-Cons with analog triggers.
Oh,
and just
yeah.
say, you don't have to use this if you don't want to, but like future games now have this as an option.
And the Pro may have the D-pad on it. Like they
Right.
might, like
Right.
yeah.
I mean, if
I'll
they
have to
come
buy
out-
it just for the Joy-Con.
With Pokemon coming out this fall, I mean, it makes sense for them to come out with a more portable option with better battery life because that is historically an on-the-go game. So if they come out with a Sword and Shield Special Edition Switch, I'm going to get that. That's what that's what it will take.
But
just Pokemon.
I really hope they don't do the like. I really hope, first of all, as an owner of many Joy-Con, I hope they don't redesign the Joy-Con so that there's
really?
actually a split,
I don't
split in the
think
market.
that-
I don't
I
think
can't
they would
imagine
either.
they could.
But maybe they'll do a little upgrade like they did with the Wii Motion Plus. Remember that, where the hardware actually did change, so like analog triggers a D-pad or something.
I'm shameless in that I want them to get weird with Joy-Con. Like my dream for the Joy-Con is still little Donkey Konga bongos that you slide onto the side of your Switch and play with your thumbs. Like that is my ideal world for where
You're the
Joy-Con
only
ended up.
person in the world that wants tiny like donkey bongos.
You're telling me you don't want little Donkey Bongos on
No,
the side of your
I'm good.
Switch?
I don't even want to say the word Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong Bongos is the correct term.
I'm starting that movement.
No.
I'm starting that petition online.
Donkey Bongos for the Switch.
Yes.
All right, so Tom needs Donkey Bongos for the Switch to upgrade.
If we
to the
named
Pro.
episodes, I would move that we name this episode Donkey Bongos.
Okay.
Yeah,
There we go.
Done. Thanks. Now I don't have to think about it afterwards.
yeah you got it.
But hey, so we learned about Cadence of Hyrule last week
Yay.
during the Nindies Direct. It's super exciting. And then I guess VentureBeat interviewed Kirk Scott, the quote Nindies guy, and he asked him if we're going to see more indie developers get to play with Nintendo's IP. And Kirk Scott said, "I hope so. I totally hope so. Yeah, this is great. I think this is validating for a lot of indies out there."
Tom, didn't you also get some quotes from
Yeah.
Kirk Scott?
Yeah, well, I talked to Kirk, and I also
Oh,
talked
man.
to Ryan Clark. Well, he didn't. I didn't ask that specific question, so that's still definitely VentureBeat's get in that
Yeah, yeah,
regard. But I also talked to Ryan Clark, who's the CEO of Brace Yourself Games, who make Crypt of the Necrodancer and are making Cadence of Hyrule. And it's really cool. It sounds like what Clark told me too was that essentially how this happened was they were like, hey. Can we put like Zelda as maybe DLC or something in Necrodancer? And Nintendo was like, how about a game? Like like Nintendo was excited about the idea, which is I think a really big, like even this quote from Kirk too is like, it's a big shift in Nintendo's mentality about like, how do we give, like who do we let have the keys to these big franchises that we run? Because usually they were like, these close-guarded things that they never let anybody... Like, I mean, they use third-party developers here and there. Hyrule Warriors. Capcom made Minish Cap, that sort of thing. But they were still always, like, pretty close to the chest. And this is Nintendo opening up in a really cool way.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about this a lot last week, or a little bit last week, about third-party developers taking on Nintendo franchises and stuff, but never have we seen indies of this caliber kind of tackle these IPs. So that's what's exciting to me is like so much iteration or ideation is happening in the indie space that isn't happening in AAA gaming, and the idea that we would get a rhythm puzzle-based Zelda like 16-bit looking game from Nintendo in 2019 is just baffling to me. So,
Yeah.
like the thing about it that is most impressive to me is like they're handing these IP off to like, not, I won't say risky, but just sort of outside of the box partnerships, right? Like,
Yeah.
And this quote from Kirk, I think it's important to note, does not confirm that they are doing more of this. It's just like, it's just really, really
They're
neat.
open to it.
Yeah.
And Elden Pixels actually, they released Alwa's Awakening, which is an adventure platforming game. They tweeted Nintendo specifically asking if they can do a follow-up or remake of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link.
and what did Nintendo have to say about that?
They have not said anything so far.
They're not going to say
Surprising.
anything.
Not on Twitter.
What a weird way to go about that.
But boy, does it open up a lot of fun ideas
Yeah.
of like, man, just give Image and Form Metroid.
Yeah, last week,
Let's do it.
Bran last week on the show said exactly that. We all kind of went round robin talking about what developers we'd want to see indie developers take on Nintendo franchises, and I think Image and Form said Metroid. I said I'd love to see Yacht Club talk about Kid Icarus. I thought they'd be a good one for that. Who do you think would be a good indie developer for a Nintendo IP?
Oh, come on, Chucklefish for Advance Wars, please.
Yeah.
That one sells itself, I
that's
guess.
the only that's the only way we're gonna get that one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some indies like if you guys remember AM2R, the Metroid 2 remake from That was just a single dude worked on that.
Yeah.
And it's just great.
But
Like,
they slapped that down pretty quickly.
yeah, of course. But like using someone like him, like just like Sega did with Sonic, using a hobby programmer to redo a classic game in the Super NES style, for example, I think that'd be really good to see.
Oh, Sonic was actually on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Genesis.
I do agree. I think
Yeah, they
that
did what,
Sonic
Nintendo?
Mania-
Yeah.
I think any like old school developer that's like was around in that era and now needs and is still around should be looking at Sonic Mania as like the model, right?
Yeah.
Find people who are passionate about those games and let them make them.
Yeah.
Well, it took Sonic years of iteration and trial and error
Right.
to find somebody that fit the mold to do that. Right?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Fans were like, no, just make this game again, but do it better. And they tried and tried and tried and just couldn't get it right. And then finally they looked to the fan base to do it. And yeah, that Sonic Mania is probably the best Sonic game since Adventure. So
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's so many clever indie games, especially some of the pixel art, kind of like 16-bit looking games, side scrollers, where you could take a forgotten Nintendo franchise and bring it back in a really meaningful way. I think it'd be really cool to try that.
I kind of want Night in the Wood developers to grab like Animal Crossing or Zelda and make us a really story-based game about those like Animal
Yeah.
Crossing characters, because they come up with really hilarious personalities, but they aren't really like delved deeply in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
but it'd be
games,
like
just
really
about-
dark. Like Tom Nook would be like a drug dealer. Or like,
I mean,
And that's
isn't
real
he-
life, Zach.
yeah, but not
Come
wrong.
on.
But I would love, think of Dead Cells and apply that to Kid Icarus. Like, do something like that that's a retro style and have a competent developer do it. Be great.
So let's move on to some news. First of all, Yacht Club Games, the Shovel Knight dev, is publishing Mecha Skull's Cyber Shadow. They said that it's been being worked on for the last 10 years.
Oof.
It looks like an action platformer. You control a ninja named Shadow, and it looks like kind of cyberpunky with a lot of mechs. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it
They
looks-
literally just
It's going to be
launched
at
that
PAX,
trailer.
right?
Yeah, it's
I-
playable at PAX East.
I watched a trailer and I think it looks really cool. And I love a good ninja game. I'm deep into Sekiro
You're
right
a
now.
big ninja guy, huh?
Yeah,
You
that's
also
something-
love, what was the other one?
The Messenger.
The
one
Messenger.
you
Well, that's
always-
that's where I was going with this. Is like, I think this game looks cool. It looks a lot like The Messenger, and The Messenger just came out, last year, into last year, and yeah, I think this game's got its work cut out for it in terms of like setting itself apart because it looks very similar to The Messenger, right down to the way that it looks like you're bouncing off of enemies using sword attacks and things like that. Like it's. I'm curious to see how it feels because it looks where The Messenger looked more like 16-bit Nintendo. This game looks more like a Genesis game. But that was Sega Genesis.
Yeah, I remember.
But
Maker's a land of confusion.
that's right. Yeah, I don't know.
Susudio.
It's interesting that I see where you're going.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but it's also got its work cut out for it. Like that's what I'll say.
Is this the first game that Yacht Club has published that is not Shovel Knight?
They just announced they just announced another game that they're publishing.
Okay.
Yeah, that is I want to say it's an RPG. I know I'll get roasted on this, but let me double check while you guys go round robin and talk about this game because yeah.
Well, we have nothing to say.
Yeah.
about
Wow,
it because
you
it doesn't have dragons or numbers.
I was talking to Tom about this before, that it looks pretty similar to a lot of other side-scrolling action games that have come out recently. So
Dude, there's
there's been so many.
the last couple of years have been this weird sort of renaissance of pixelated 2D platformery, side-scrolly indie games, right? There have been so many of them that you need to do something to stand out. Like Zach said, if you don't, you're just going to get eaten alive in that field, which is so funny because I feel like before that genre sort of blew up, it was nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Like people weren't making those games, and then suddenly the market just got like you hear people talking about BR games flooding the market. There are 20 times more indie side-scrolling 2D pixel art platformers than there are BR games right now.
So I remember, I obviously, covered games for a long time. I remember in the N64 age when 3D gaming was taking off, a lot of publishers said that even if they had a 2D game, they would not put 2D screenshots on the back of the box because it'd be a deterrent for people to buy it. Like everything had to be 3D, and I think that wave caused a little bit of of AAA publishers not paying attention to a genre like that, and it didn't really come back until the GBA really took off, and we saw Castlevania kind of take.
Well, that's what I was
going to
say. Is like if you want to see something really funny go back and read IGN's Castlevania Symphony of the Night review because it's like, oh, it's a really great game, but it's so ugly. I don't know why they would make this 2D platformer all
was
pixelated.
that guy is
Somebody that was
fired
like
in
super
retro.
wrong. But and to answer your previous question, they also published the Azure Striker Gunvolt collection on Switch.
Okay.
I don't know where. I thought for sure that I had seen that they were publishing like an RPG as well, but maybe that was just in my dreams.
Well,
Yeah, I would love for Yacht Club to follow up Shovel Knight with like an actually in-house developed 16-bit RPG, but who
yeah,
knows? Yeah.
like Pickaxe Night or something.
Pickaxe Knight.
Backhoe Night.
Well, we're getting close to them being done with their Kickstarter responsibilities.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
Gabe.
God.
We're getting
10 years,
close.
Never
10
ends.
years in the making yet.
Yeah.
So next, there's some more news. We're going to get Overcooked 2 DLC, Campfire Cook-Off, and the 2019 Season Pass. Campfire Cook-Off comes out April 18th for $5.99. It's coming with a new map called Trail Mix Trail, 12 levels, 4 new chefs, and 2 recipes, and some new mechanics that they haven't really added on to. But we got more DLC from Overcooked 2 like for the new year last year that I didn't even know about.
Yeah, we had the Chinese New Year stuff actually this year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome that they keep on supporting this game post-release with new stuff. It's a nice reason to go back and play again. It's still really good.
Yeah, it's a good and fun game. And we have another announcement, Wolfenstein Youngblood, which was originally announced in E3 last year,
Yeah,
right?
I think
it's a
so.
co-op game, which is a follow-up of Wolfenstein 2.
Yeah.
And it finally got an announcement date. It's going to come out on July 26th.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Yeah, for
This
the
game
Switch,
looks
same time.
bad ass.
You gotta really respect Bethesda for being one of the only developers making AAA games like this who, in their announcement trailer, immediately is just like, oh yeah, here it's also on Switch, right?
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat did it, and everyone was like, that's amazing, and now we're still getting it with all these Bethesda games, and I just appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
So what makes this game different from Wolfenstein 2, Zach?
Ladies.
You know?
Yeah, so well,
female lead characters.
narratively, it takes place long after Wolfenstein 2, in that you play as BJ Blazkowicz's daughters, his twin daughters. Yeah, and so that's where the co-op aspect comes into play.
Cool.
Like you can play either of his twin daughters. He's gone missing, so they set out to find him. They think he's in Paris. So yeah, if you watch a trailer, they head to Paris, kill a bunch of Nazis out there. But yeah, it just looks like more Wolfenstein, which is awesome. That game was probably my number 2 game the year that it came out, and like I have been waiting to get back into that world since then. So like I'm really stoked. Regrettably I haven't played any of the DLC.
So be honest, are you going to play it on Switch or are you
Nah,
going to play it
hell
on
no.
the other platforms?
No, I'm gonna play it on my PlayStation 4 Pro on my big 4K TV.
Yeah, that's always the challenge with these ports. I think it's awesome that they're coming out for people who only have the Switch.
Me too.
But it's hard to decide to play these games on the Switch. Whereas like a lot of the 2D games, a lot of the indie games, I play on Switch, even if they are on the other platforms.
For games that are only co-op, I'm very tempted to get them on the Switch because that means I can take it with me with my partner. So when we go on vacation and stuff, we can still bring our games that we're playing together.
Yeah.
Like I really like that for Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate because we can like take it with us, and at night when we have nothing to do or winding down, we can play the game that we are already playing.
Okay, who had 24 minutes before Casey mentioned Monster Hunter?
Yeah.
Who had pay up?
24?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I know she's really skewing the average here.
I said 45 seconds, I thought.
What?
Yeah.
Guys, come on.
Man.
Yeah, did you know that we take bets? There's Pokemon mentioned and a Monster Hunter.
Well, I know
mentioned.
whoever-
She had a
playing the
Monster
drinking game
Hunter
is
mentioned
drinking right
earlier.
now.
Actually, you just didn't notice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
you're
what did I
right.
say?
Yeah,
For the 3DS.
for the 3DS.
Oh,
yeah,
I
that's right.
did.
Yeah.
Oops. No, that was
That was me.
you.
I did it.
You did that, Zach. That was your fault.
I was trying to bait her.
Way to be Casey.
So we also, this is kind of old news, but it came out after our show last week, and we got a new, very extensive Labo VR game trailer, which has way more stuff in it than I expected. What do you guys think? Like we got to see the blaster, the wind pedal, the bird, the elephant, and the camera, and there are going to be 64 mini games in the VR Plaza, and it's going to be $79.99 and comes out on April 12th.
Some of the stuff is ridiculous.
Oh, man,
the
I
wind
love it,
pedal is
though.
so good. It's
wind pedal is
simulating.
genius.
It's simulating that you're jumping and you're kicking. You're hitting this pedal, right? And it makes it basically moves a fan and it makes you feel a rush of air because you're falling down. You're like a frog. You're jumping in the air. You're falling, so you get this rush of air.
That's really cool.
It's so funny.
That is legitimately genius. Like I cannot overstate how incredible I think that is, because not only is it like, oh, the cool sensation of air, like that's fine or whatever, but that, as simple as it seems, that gust of air will help with motion sickness. The feeling of the blast of air while you're moving, that movement when you're not actually moving is what makes you sick. But just having a little bit of sensory feedback from the real world that you're like kind of moving.
Interesting. I
will
hadn't even
help with
considered that.
motion
I hadn't
sickness.
either.
Yeah, it's so smart. It is so smart, and
Check out the big brain on Tom.
I'm really into it.
Well, the bird, I was a little disappointed that the bird, you don't actually look in its butt. I thought it was going to be like
on the bird.
No, I thought it was going to be a study in anatomy and where do eggs come from, but it's literally you put an egg on your face, a bird on your face,
That's
and
what
you're
you wanted.
flying
That's
around.
what you wanted for Children of the World,
Yes.
Paris, to
Yes.
look at
like
a
a
bird's
biology
butt.
game.
Yeah, biology. Like it's a
You're a
cross
weird-
section.
you're a weird dude.
Like,
I will say,
look.
we definitely called it though 2 weeks ago, right? When we were like, it's not going to be a huge game. It's probably going to be a lot of little experiences.
Yeah.
And hey, it's a lot of little experiences. Exactly what we thought it was going to be in that regard.
Yeah, again, like there are a lot of people who are angry whenever a Labo set gets announced because they see it as cheap cardboard and the price is really high, right? Like $80 is a lot.
Okay, but
They
That's
were
for
just
everything.
dumping.
Yeah.
They were just dumping them at Target in stores for $20, and the
For the
Robo
full kit, yeah.
the Robo kit was $17.99.
Yeah.
and even if it doesn't go to your Target, even if it doesn't say the price, check with them because they were dumping them all cheaper.
yeah, I saw you tweeting about it this weekend,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, should I go and get a bunch of Labo?
I bought 3 more because in like 5 years, everybody's Labo is going to have like gum and pen marks on it, and these pristine things are going to be worth a lot of money. I'll sell them and I'll retire with my $300. No, I think it's really clever looking. The appeal is building these sets and then seeing how ingenious the software interaction is. Like what kind of tricks they build into the cardboard constructions and how that interfaces with the games. And then for kids, they can learn programming, have some light kind of program building tools, and then can come up with their own stuff. I think it's really creative.
Yeah,
but
that level editor,
but
that's cool.
you are
Yeah.
everybody who doesn't want to play this. You're right. It's not going to last you. Like you're going to build these things, and it's unlikely you'll go back, 2 weeks later and play this again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say what literally every human being on the planet is thinking?
Say the thing.
How is there not a Pokemon Snap game for that camera? How is there not a Pokemon Snap game for that
Yeah.
camera?
How is there not a Pokemon Snap game for the Switch at all, or even when the Wii U is out?
They literally
hold on.
invented a motion tracked camera device
Let me
for your
explain.
Switch in VR, and they're not making Pokemon.
They need to release the Nintendo Switch Pro, which has a camera on the underside, and then you'll be able to walk around town and snap
No,
Pokemon.
that's
They
not what I
first
want.
need the camera because they're like, AR Pokemon Go. They didn't foresee this.
I want super pretty Pokemon interacting in their natural environments like volcanoes.
You need the Pro. Don't go into a volcano.
I would pay $80 for a Labo camera plus Pokemon Snap full game.
Oh, hell yeah.
I would.
Because that's the type of experience too that you can like put down, and you don't have to like be in it for extended periods of time. Oh man,
You
I
just
would
play
do that.
through one level. You're done.
A volcano is about the same temperature as this podcast room.
Nah, you're exaggerating.
No.
I prefer the temperature in here than the ice box that was the
Really?
studio.
This is.
I wore pea coats in there because it was so cool.
It's warm. What else you got?
What else have I got? So let's that's it for news pretty much. There's a little bit of other stuff, but let's talk about games out this week instead, which includes Final Fantasy VII,
Finally,
which
this
is
new game.
I know. Who
Have you guys heard of this game?
would have thought?
It's a little indie game. Came out on PC
Final
first.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
No.
Well, came out
Stop.
on PC before Switch.
It did come out on PC before Switch, but before that, it came out on the PlayStation 1 after Square Enix decided to continue making games for PlayStation 1 instead of the 64.
This is the coolest thing. It's taken this game now 22 years to finally release on the platform is what it was meant for. Yeah, it was Final Fantasy VII on the N64, that was all the talk of the town back then. And they even showed little renders of super deformed characters and all that.
Yeah, but those
And then-
renders were characters, Final Fantasy VI characters. Like they were just playing with
Doesn't
the
matter.
Nintendo 64
Don't
engine.
don't destroy the dream here. they yeah. But then that
Actually.
Switch was such a big occasion that this major franchise jumped ship from Nintendo to this newcomer console, and obviously, Square didn't want to pay for the storage space on a cartridge for this game that they thought would have all these cutscenes, and it's arriving. Better late than never.
How
Now
many
it's on the
discs
Nintendo.
was the original? I
3.
remember
Yeah.
it was a big case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 3 discs.
It's lots.
And now it is a teeny tiny file.
Final
on your
Fantasy
SD card.
Final Fantasy VII is very, very fondly remembered. It's amongst many people's favorite games of all time. It's a game that got a lot of people into Japanese RPGs in a time where those weren't super popular. It made Square a boatload of money and made it the company that it is today. But I'm of the unpopular opinion that this game has not aged well. Like I think the localization is bad. I think that the gameplay itself is like pretty mediocre because it was like, here's a company that's learning how to make 3D games for the first time. And like, I think some of the cinematics and stuff are beautiful, but like the story barely makes sense. It's like, it's obtuse, And like, I know I'm going to get roasted for this, but it's fine. Like I've said this on a number of different podcasts and stuff, but like, I think that Final Fantasy VIII and 9 are better games. And at least 9 is now available on the Switch.
I think 7 has story beats that few other RPGs did for years after this
Can
title.
you name one?
No, I'm not going to give it away, but like
Everyone knows what happened.
yeah, but to kill off a main character and to kind of toy with your emotions was really unique, and I think that all that stuff still works. For me, I went from having adored 4, 5, and 6. I played the Japanese versions, having adored those games, to this one, and was disappointed that they had broken the kind of the grid setup, and like it felt less interactive and less defined, and I didn't enjoy the environments that much. But a lot of people didn't like that 16-bit look anymore, and were looking forward to something that had more painterly backgrounds and all of that. And to them, this is one of the most seminal RPG experiences.
I don't
right?
I don't argue that it's not a seminal RPG for sure.
So
but,
it's $15.99. Is it worth playing if someone has never played Final Fantasy VII?
I think 9. I would
Zach
play
shaking
9
his head.
first.
yeah, I'd play
Yeah.
9 as well.
Yeah.
9 over
but,
7.
But it is a piece of gaming history, and it is an RPG grade.
I'd be curious to see stats on how many people who haven't played Final Fantasy VII pick this up for Switch and actually make it all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not many.
No.
Especially the other thing to remember is that this is like the mobile port version, that
Which is
then came
actually
to
pretty
PS4
good.
and PC, but it's
Yeah.
got like little problems. Like there are glitches that have been in it since the PS4 version.
But 9
that are
has
still in the
9
Switch
has
version.
similar glitches as well, like the audio glitches and stuff
Right,
like that. Like
right.
it's something in those mobile ports that
was
Square
reading-
hasn't figured out.
I was reading that the soundtrack, if the music is playing, it will restart from the beginning after every time you fight, so you'll never get through the entire track.
I know 9 does that. Yeah.
And that was thankfully patched out of at least some of the other versions. So
But not the Switch version.
it is in the Switch version
Mm-hmm.
still, and they're gonna try to. Hopefully, they're gonna fix it. I don't know if they will.
I wish that they would put 8 on Switch, but I'm playing through
Gamers
9
lost
again right
to time,
now.
apparently.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Hey, Zach, do you always have this Barry White voice? We just don't notice.
No,
the other
I've been
mics?
sick.
I see.
I've been
Okay.
sick, and so my voice
Yeah.
is a little lower this week.
Hey, everybody, this is Zach Ryan.
So
It's nice. You should keep it.
Thanks, Bear.
Yeah. Yeah, our listeners improved 425%.
so also out this week is a game that Tom beat last night
I
in
did.
one sitting, right?
It's very weird in
What?
2019 to like play a game and just beat it and be like, cool.
It's called The World Next Door. It's Viz's first published game, and it's developed by Rose City Games. And I am really liking it. It was one of the games that I picked out during a Nindies Direct last year as my most anticipated game. And I'm really loving it. I'm kind of sad that Tom said it's only about, 3 to 4 hours long?
It took me, somewhere in there. It took me less than 4 hours to beat.
Mm-hmm. But it's a narratively driven RPG with match 3 live action puzzle mechanics.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Does that make sense? So when you're actually battling, you are playing on like a top-down world where you see runes show up on tiles, and you have to move the runes to make matches of at least 3 and then activate them to attack the opponent, which is also running around on the board trying to attack you at the same time. And the different combinations do different things. also depending on how big the match is. And then you can also switch out your party members, which give you access to different moves depending on how you arrange certain rooms. And the bosses are really interesting. I think the story is cool and the character design is really neat.
It's really lovely.
Yeah.
What kind of characters do they have? Does it have any creatures?
Yeah, they do. They have
What
lots
kind
of
of creatures do they have?
So let's see. Some of your friends.
Okay, are there
No.
dragons in the
No.
game? Or no. Okay, I
Okay,
was just,
well, not that I've
I was
seen.
just checking whether there was
one of the main characters. His name is Rainy, and he
Okay.
is a water drake.
Okay, well
But that
that's
is-
close enough.
But he looks like a human with blue hair and like horns and a tail.
So since Casey's biased, Tom, would you say this game is worth the $15?
I don't know. I mean, I played it and I thought it was a solid 7 out of 10 sort of game, right?
Okay.
Like it is a definitely a good game, and I really like the puzzle battle mechanic too. It was just like it introduced a lot of ideas that it kind of like the short length sort of didn't like deliver on in the end. Like
Okay.
it has a lot of and to Casey's point, it is so pretty and the writing is really nice and the music is great and the character design is really lovely. Like it is a very well made game. It almost tried to. We were talking about this earlier. It almost evokes like some sort of Persona vibes to it, where like you're texting your friends and you're like walking around town, like doing social things, and then you go into a dungeon and like do a battle-y thing, and then you go
very
back
cool.
out and you do more talky things. And I like that rhythm. It just was like so short that a lot of the things it introduced like never had a conclusion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you cram all that into something that's 4 hours long?
Right. I would, and I think that's probably a good sign if my complaint about this game is I wanted to play it for another 4 times as long. Like that's a good thing,
Yeah.
right? It very much felt like an episode 1 in an episodic game, and it is not like pitched as that as far as I understand. But yeah, it's definitely cool, and if you like match 3 games, it's one to look at. If you like narrative games, it's one to look at. I'll leave it up to you if you pull the trigger though.
Cool.
They also have so the official soundtrack is actually on Spotify. if
It's
you
good
wanna
music.
Look that up, and
Cool.
I wonder they're giving out comics at GDC, which was basically like a prequel to The World Next Door, and show the main character June like texting her friend and learning a little bit about the world. And I wonder if that's available somewhere online.
Did you break that down, by the way? It's a super cool concept. The world and the setup.
Oh yeah, so Emerus, the whole concept is based on like you live on Earth with a bunch of humans, and you have there's basically a parallel world called Emerus, and once a generation, about once every 20 years, a portal opens up, and if you apply for a lottery, you have a chance to travel to the other world. You can only be there for 24 hours, as that's the only amount of time that the portals are open, and then you have to come back. And that's how you get started off. There's this girl who's not really missed by her parents. She's 17. She goes to this other world to visit.
The thing that I really like about it is that the way they pitch it too is like Earth is like grew up with technology and Emerus grew up with magic. And so Emerus is basically just Earth, but everywhere you'd have tech, you just have magic instead. And there's even like there was a funny conversation I had with some characters in the game at one point who were like, I don't know, man, I think magic is making us all lazy. All we do is sit around and like use magic to do things.
That's
and
funny.
It's like it's really self-aware like that, and it's
That's
I
cute.
really liked that.
Yeah,
setup.
we break into shrines that they make the equivalent as like, oh, it's like Earth power plants.
Yeah, it's really
where
neat.
magic comes from. It's cool. I like it. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, but from just what I've played so far, I would still recommend it for the $15.99.
Yeah, I'd definitely recommend you don't overlook it at the very least.
Exactly. So also another game. So this was actually Dragon Marked for Death came out in online digital only packages in January, but the physical release is finally out now, and it comes with both of those 2 smaller packages in one, and is also bundled with some DLC that's going to come out later as well. It's an side-scrolling action RPG where you have like actual levels, and you can increase your stats on like attack and HP and magic, and you have a bunch of different characters to choose from that all play differently. And the story is pretty interesting, and it's made by some people who also, it's by Inti Creates, and some of the people on that team also worked on Mega Man before. I've only played the first level, but the premise and the setup is pretty interesting. You basically are playing as a girl who's one of the only two survivors of a village that was completely desecrated by a like divine state that worships Celestial because your village worshipped an astral dragon. And she goes and gets away. Hey, don't look at me like that.
I'm
Come
not
on.
doing anything.
I feel like we should have like a Pee Wee Herman style thing where anyone says dragon, we all like scream like ah.
Casey's Dragon Corner.
Oh.
No, keep going.
But she whatever character you choose as in the beginning gets imbued with the astral dragon's power to enact revenge onto this state that destroyed your village.
So gameplay though, similar to Mega Man, it looks very Gunstar Heroes, like visually.
Yeah, I would say so. You have you slash with a sword. You have a long range attack that you can charge up. You also have a special attack that's also close range. You have a grappling hook. And you have HP, and you can pick up equipment and like increase your stats and stuff, and find secrets in the world. There's some like small puzzles to get through as you're going through. I think it's really cool and interesting. It's really pretty. The music is great. That is out for physical release for $50. And if you want a chance to win it, you can come to IGN.com on Friday as part of the Daily Win. This is for U.S. residents only, but yeah, we'll be giving away a few copies on the site on Friday.
Yeah, we're giving away a game every day. So come to check on the IGN homepage. All you have to do is enter your email and your IGN username. That's it. We just need the email to contact you.
Yeah, just something new that we're doing to give back.
Yep.
It's really cool. And I'm glad that we're able to give away a cool Switch game. Tom Marks. Why did I
Hi.
call you Mark?
Mark Toms.
Okay.
Hey, Mark.
It is technically a part of your name.
Hey,
I'm so sorry.
How often do you get email addresses? Or how often do you get emails that are addressed to Mark? Hey, Mark.
Oh, a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Like minimum once a week.
Yeah. So I was talking to one of our PR reps who also has two first names, and like I also get that all the time where it's like, "Hello, Ryan," and it's like, "Well, that's not me." Yeah.
So when I first started working here, I actually wasn't sure which one was your first name.
Yeah.
But I was like,
Nobody is.
Zach wouldn't be a last name. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But Ryan is a last name.
I've actually met
so-
a guy named Ryan Zachary, which
Wait,
really wigged me out.
seriously?
Yeah.
No, my deduction is wrong. No, but hey, Tom, you put this game on. She Remembered Caterpillars comes out on March 28th.
Tell
Yeah.
from the title that you put this game on.
She remembered Caterpillar sounds like a band that I would have listened to in like 2005. Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
It is just a game I wanted to call out really fast. It came out on PC 2 years ago, I think. It's a puzzle game, a very kind of straightforward puzzle game, but the plot that sort of ties it together is this really heartfelt story about dealing, I think, with cancer, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But that you can like kind of skip through the plot if you just want the puzzles. The puzzles are really fun. It's a lovely, lovely game. This really nice hand-drawn art style.
The art style is really
Super cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
looks
a
great.
really,
Really
pretty
neat.
game.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, I come on this show and I talk about little puzzle games that I like a lot, and it just seemed like one that
Yep.
definitely, like, if you've liked any of the puzzle game recommendations I've given so far, this is definitely one to look at.
Nice.
I'll play
Jinx.
that.
So hey, also out this week
Jinx.
is Yoshi's Crafted World, which Tom reviewed.
I did.
Tom, what was the review score?
It was a 7.8.
Nice.
Very good.
Yeah, I
on
think it's a
IGN
very, very
scale.
good game.
And is everybody mad because 7.8 is 7.8?
It's because 7.8, it's not an 8, right? It's not an 8.
So on
no.
our scale, that's a good. So,
Yeah.
you gave it a high 7, which is good to great.
No, I think it's a very good game. I really do. It just is like if leading into this, you probably had an idea of what Yoshi might be like, and it is that. It is just exactly what you'd expect from a Yoshi game. It's really adorable. It's really well made. It's very fun. It's very easy, and it's not much more.
So, but that's not what Yoshi used to be, and I gotta always bring that up.
Excuse me, yes, a modern Yoshi game.
Yoshi's story was easy,
Yeah.
like ridiculously. Easy.
Yeah.
Yoshi's
Island. Yeah, the
before that
original.
was not easy.
Yes, this is not a return to Yoshi's
Yeah.
Island. This is the modern. I mean, and Woolly World was similar, right? Woolly World was again really fun game, not that hard, that doesn't break the mold in really any way. It just is like a very good Yoshi platformer. And
Yeah.
that's what this is. It's a
I
very
feel
good
like
Yoshi.
the Yoshi and Kirby games are sort of analogous now in that like they have primary objectives, which is get from point A to point B, and they're not super challenging.
Yeah.
But the challenge lies in like getting all the collectibles and finding all the unlockable levels, and those levels are typically more challenging. So.
Yeah, and I will say so there's smiley flowers to find in every level. There's like between like five
Smiley
and
flower.
5 and
Yeah,
9.
yeah,
Yeah, they're great. And then there's also 20 red coins that are hidden throughout a level.
Yeah.
I can count the number of times I 100% at a level on my first time through it on one hand,
Yeah.
right? Like the red coins actually make you go and look for them.
They're
and
deviously hidden.
Yeah, they're tricky and in a good way, not in like a frustrating way.
Sure.
The other part you brought up though, the post game levels, there are literally only 4.
Oh yeah.
The credits roll, and then you get 4 extremely hard, extremely fun levels, and then it just is like over.
That's it. Yeah.
And I know this game. One of the complaints I've already gotten from people is like, "Oh, why are you complaining? It's easy, or why not hard enough levels? It's for kids." But like the point Dan Stapleton brought up to me when I talked about kids games with him recently, and I love.
Is he a shy guy?
Yeah. That's what Dan sounds like. Wow, there we go.
Dang! Wow. The point he brings up, and I think it's such an eloquent way to put it, is like, well, kids like playing good games, right? Like kids are smart, and kids don't want crazy difficult things. They want to be able to play through the game, but they also don't want it to just be like nothing.
No, for sure.
But
it depends on the age. I would say for young kids, this game definitely has much more value because it isn't frustratingly difficult. And Nintendo's been really good at adding elements to their games that make make parents let parents enjoy it, but also kids. Like New Super Mario Brothers has different player characters with different powers. It has the bubble mechanic. Captain Toad has the pointer co-op mode. In the original now it has a co-op mode for a second player. Like Nintendo's really good at creating games now, I think, for parents to play with younger kids, and this one seems to be matching that.
Yeah, and the thing that occurs, like, if you look at Odyssey, Odyssey is such a good example of it's easy to get to the end of that game, the credits of Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
It's not very difficult to beat Odyssey.
But not for a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying...
Whereas like Yoshi, you can. Like
Right.
kids can enjoy it. There's nothing really threatening you.
Right, and that's
Those poor shy guys.
that's not like specifically what I meant. What I meant is like it's not kids game friendly, but it's fairly simple to get to the
Beatable.
end of Odyssey. It's beatable.
Yeah.
But then to get to the end of Darker Side, it's a lot harder, and they ramp it up. And then to get like the next level after that is even harder.
But the thing about-
there's not really that scaling in Yoshi and Kirby games. It's just a bunch of really fun, really creative, fairly easy levels, and then like 4 really hard ones, and that's it.
They're walk in the park games. Like you are literally part of the enjoyment is to see the creativity in the levels and like explore them. But yeah, the shy guys will walk left and right and not come after you.
Oh,
you know?
no,
It's
a lot of them don't even do that.
Yeah.
A lot of them in this one are literally, like, I felt bad. The
Yeah,
shy guys
that's
are
what
just
I-
kind of chilling, and you're
Yeah.
like,
It's like, oh, you're smelling a flower over there? Screw you.
Some of them
Egg.
are so cute. Some of them are like hiding behind bushes. Like you can see the little the butterflies like flapping around, and you knock the bush away, and it's actually a shy guy with a butterfly on a stick, just kind of shaking it. Like it's really cute.
I think the costumes are really adorable, and the way you get them are
costumes are so
awesome. You use a one of those gumball gacha machines.
Yeah, it's a capsule machine.
Cute.
And you put coins in that you earn in levels, and then you get costumes out.
Like a boat or a trash can.
There's so many silly costumes.
I can't. I'm really looking forward to playing it. I know it's chill and I know it's easy, but
Yeah.
I just love maybe it's the Labo fan in me, the constructions and seeing the backsides of the levels and all of that.
Yeah, I'm really stoked to play it as well.
There's this also, just frankly, if I can rant for just a moment, there's a stigma around the number 7 in a review, right? It's like, oh, I didn't give it an 8, therefore I think it's bad. And it's like, no, I'm saying this is a very good game. I think anybody who liked the other Yoshi games or Kirby games, because Zach, I think you're right that they are similar in that vibe.
Yeah.
You're gonna like this. It's a fun game. It's just like it proved it could have been a little more than that, and it didn't really try to. And like that doesn't ruin it by any means. It's just it's not much more than that.
Cool.
So I know you guys are excited to play Yoshi, but what are you guys playing now?
Ooh, lots of stuff.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah. Perry, I know you've been wanting to talk about Captain Toad for a while.
Yeah, so Captain Toad's DLC is out. So you can, you obviously have the new co-op mode, so you can go back into any level and play with 2 players, which I did with my daughter and my son, and it's just really fun. It can be a little bit annoying because you share camera control. So if you rotate the level and, like, let's say you're walking on a straight line and the other player turns the camera, you can fall off. And so that's a little annoying, but it is really fun to be able to solve the puzzles now, and it's easier because there's some time challenges. Like for example, in the DLC pack, it's called the Search for the Legendary Crown. You find a crown, and that will trigger a crown location somewhere else, and it's timed. It does the tick 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 tick, and it'll disappear. So you can position the other player already close to it, and then collect that crown, and it'll jump to another place. So you can kind of
That's really cool.
plan and work together. It's really cute. I mean, if you like Captain Toad, it is more of the same. The levels are there are a lot of haunted mansion type levels where you're walking around in the dark and the players have flashlights and you have to shine them at the booths. They're like small ones and big ones and the weird like zombie walking ones. I forget what they're called. And like you basically you can destroy them with the flashlight and it lights these torches. And then when you finish the level, one of the bonus objectives is light all the torches. There's even a train, so they're not as confined where it's like a like a kind of like a square you rotate. There's a train where you walk from the very back to the very front. So like more like a traditional like side-scrolling stage like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Nice to see him breaking outside of the
You should
box.
play it. Yeah, and then I'm playing a bunch of like Golf Peaks, this game that Tom recommended. It's like a isometric puzzle game where you get little cards that show you how many squares you can hit a ball. It's a mini golf game. And like it gets more and more complicated on how you have to ricochet them off the walls. And
It's so
cute.
funny because it's a golf game with cards that is neither a card game nor a golf game. It's just a puzzle game.
Yep. And then a couple of other games that came out a while back that I didn't get to. One is Claybook. Claybook is a little bit like a Katamari Damacy game where everything in the world is made from clay, and it actually has really cool looking graphics. Like everything is like squishy, and you can shapeshift your character. You can be like a ball or like a little roly thing, and you can roll around. You displace the other clay pieces, and you have to find stuff. It's definitely a game for younger players, I think, but it's like a cool kind of world manipulation game that plays with physics and like just like the squishy clay stuff. Earhart is like, if you take 1942, remember that side-scrolling like top-down airplane game, the classic one? It's like a shooter like that, but more in an open world where you're flying around and you can do fishing.
Yeah.
And you can harpoon stuff and like
Weird.
It's really
Is that the
cool.
one where you go up and down layers?
Yeah.
I've played that.
You traverse between levels. It's just a really cool concept to take that like 2D shooting to like a different setup. It is a little bit more chill than a traditional like side-scrolling shooter because you can control your direction and stuff. I like that one. And then finally, I think we'll talk a little bit about Baba Is You, but maybe somebody else wants to lead on that one. Baba?
Yeah.
I have been playing Baba Is You. I've also been playing Sekiro, but Sekiro's not on Switch, so we can't talk about that. I'm sorry,
Yet?
Zach. Yeah,
No, it's not.
It's not going to happen.
I'm playing that too, and it's kicking my ass.
I really love that game.
But
Me too.
but
It's
Baba
very
Is You is also kicking my ass.
Yeah.
Yes, also
Baba
that.
Is You is maybe harder than Sekiro.
Yeah.
So that's something you were talking about, Tom. Like,
Yeah.
so we all really fell in love with Baba Is You. It was really fun. It's awesome. I'm loving it. Tom, you got into a really later level and are maybe falling out of love?
Not falling out of love. I still think it is one of the most clever, fun, cool, weird puzzle games I have ever played. But I think that it's once you get past the midpoint of it, it starts losing some of the charm that makes it so clever at the very beginning, which is the very first few levels make you feel so like weird and smart and cool because you can just do any combination of like pushing words into other things and like you can solve levels a number of ways and it's sort of just on you to figure out.
I think you're weird and smart and cool.
Aw.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Anyway, the later levels feel like there's one answer, there's one solution, and you just have to be smart enough to figure it out. And it feels like a lot more restrictive in being able to like experiment with an idea of how to solve something. It doesn't make it bad. It just means it is so much harder than I was expecting it to be that it didn't make me feel as empowered as those early levels did.
Yeah. Baba Is You, I mean, I definitely recommend downloading it,
Oh,
even though
absolutely.
it
I agree.
it gets harder and harder and can get frustrating. Just the genius of it. Like, there's this existential question who Baba is. And like if you erase the wrong thing, then Baba doesn't exist. And like the game is
Yep.
over.
Yeah.
And just the kind of mind-bending things where you control part of the environment because the environment is you. Like you change the phrase.
Yeah,
it's just
wall
so
is
cool.
you, rock is you.
I love
Yeah.
that. It's so good.
If rock is you and rock is win, then you win.
That's
You
right.
are also win.
And
Yeah.
I will say also, if you are intimidated by me saying that and that it gets really, really hard, one of the things that Baba Is You does extremely well is give you a lot of different places to go. At any given time, you can have half a dozen to a dozen different puzzles to go try.
Yeah.
So if you get stuck in a dead end, you can easily just walk away and go to a different one and try to find a different path.
Yeah.
That's like when I get stuck in a tough boss fight by FromSoft's hit game Sekiro.
Yes.
I did the same
You
exact
can't
thing.
go anywhere.
No.
No, it's one of those games where the concept is so unique and fresh that I feel like you just have to try it out.
Yeah.
Like just to see the genius of a creative mind at work.
You'll
there.
get it in 2 levels.
Yeah,
You'll go,
it's so
I
good.
understand why this is so cool.
Yep. Play it, please.
So, question block.
Oh, I don't get to talk about what I'm playing.
What are you playing, Zach?
Well, I have
Your thing
been.
is blank. I'm sorry.
I have been playing a ton of Sekiro, like it's going out of style, but also because I'm a glutton for punishment, I've also been playing Cuphead on Switch.
oh man, why are you doing that to yourself?
Wait,
Yeah.
you already have it.
Yeah,
You jerk.
I know. So that game is amazing. It's so good, and I can't believe the way it looks. Like I didn't play it on Xbox, just because I'm not an Xbox boy. But holy moly, does it look incredible!
And it runs nicely.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
smooth, and like it's a brilliant, just punishing game. But
The animations are just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you see the characters and like they're so overdrawn, just like the classic cartoons.
Yeah.
Like everything is just big, right?
Yeah.
And but it is a game that makes me very, very mad.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
More mad than Sekiro?
Yeah.
No, nothing makes anybody more mad than Sakura.
No.
You should try Baba as you.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I think Brian was saying that he got really mad. By the way, Brian is at PAX East right now.
Yeah.
Which is why
if
it's
you're
not
there and you listen to this in time, I think on Friday they're doing a
It's on
Game Scoop
Thursday.
panel.
It's on, the
Thursday.
panel's on Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it's in the Albatross room. I know that because I listened to Game Scoop.
Yeah.
Where Sam thought it was the Albatross, which is the Mario character, like the bomb-dropping albatrosses. Yeah. Yes, they're called Albatross.
I mean, that would be on brand. For PAX.
Localization, woohoo!
Really fast, because I don't have anywhere else to brag about it.
Yeah.
I want to say I played Pikmin 3 again.
And you beat it.
Nice.
Ooh.
I rebeat it.
Isn't it good?
I mean, I've played it. I played it when it came out, but man,
the Wii
How
U.
cool is that weird liquid metal creature
Yeah,
boss?
yeah.
Like, it's such a good...
that game, Pikmin 3 holds up. And
Oh, man.
honestly, I will say, I was kind of surprised by how much I really missed holding the gamepad and doing the touchscreen and all that. Like, it felt very natural again, and
Yeah.
I really liked it.
It's so funny because I saw you tweeting about it this weekend or last weekend, and I was like, I could play Pikmin again.
Yeah, I
I
kind of want to
liter-
play it again, too.
I literally had to dust off my Switch screen because it wasn't working.
Your Wii U,
correctly.
yeah.
Or Wii U,
Yeah.
excuse me. Thank you. It was, I'm very, very, very glad I went back to that.
So when are we going to get a new Pikmin game?
Not soon enough.
Yeah. Yesterday
Next
is my
year?
answer.
Good game.
Okay, so now it's time for another game called Question Block.
Oh, that's actually not a game.
I think we have time for like one question. Parrot,
Perfect.
pick a question for us.
Oh, take Carrie's.
Take Harry's? Okay, Harry.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, Harry. Gosh, I'm still awful at pronouncing last
Do it.
names.
We wanna hear it.
Loicidus.
Yeah, that
close.
might be it.
Close.
But he's on our Nintendo voice chat podcast forums
On
on
Facebook.
Facebook, and he says, "What franchise would you want to see in the Yoshi Crafted World engine?"
Mario.
Is that the art style? Is that like
Yeah.
the
I would
idea?
say the art style.
I feel like Mario needs a refresh on art style, and I really like what they did with that kind of little big planety looking crafted world stuff. I'd love to see a Mario game in that. Also, I would like to see an F-Zero game in there, but then everybody would be mad.
Yeah.
Can you imagine they
Put a-
did
put
like
a Metroid
they
game
did
in
like
there.
a toy version of F-Zero, like a racing game? People would be like, no.
Yeah, I'll say Metroid game, but only because I want a Metroid game and not.
Well, last week you weren't here, but we established that Steam World.
I was here last
Oh,
week.
that was Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not Zach Bryan.
Well, you're all right. It's okay.
Similar
It's
enough.
been a long week.
Tom, do you want any game in the Crafted World engine?
Nah.
Nah? You're just happy
see,
it's Yoshi?
That's my real answer too. It's like I'm just glad that it's Yoshi. It's fine.
I like that Yoshi's doing it. Honestly, and this maybe is an unpopular opinion, I don't really like the crafted woolly aesthetics very
Oh.
much.
well, that's the end of Tom's appearances
I
on
think that
Nintendo
they're-
Voice Chat.
I think that they're lovely, and I liked them like for a time when they used them. I don't really want to see it be the only style Yoshi is ever in.
I agree.
That's all.
I would love it as okay. I'll take that back. I would love it as a world or a couple of levels in a Mario game
Right. I
because
think,
I got tired of the new Super Mario Brothers look. Like replaying it, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm ready for something else.
Even that weird Picasso level.
No, it's not Picasso. That's Van Gogh.
It's Van Gogh. That's
Yeah,
right. Starry
good
Night.
job,
That's
though.
right.
Yeah.
that one's good.
Yeah, not at all the same.
No, not even
Terrible.
close. Yeah.
I know. So
You're lucky you have a sexy voice today.
Thank you.
So I know Pokemon already has like a toy spin-off called Pokemon Rumble, but I think Pokemon toys in the style of Yoshi's Crafted World would be absolutely adorable.
Very true.
And
That'd be very
would spawn an adorable line of new Pokemon merchandise that
Yeah.
I can spend money that I don't have on.
Like a pop-up book version of Pokemon would be really cool.
it'd be
too,
really
right?
cute.
Yeah.
So I guess that is all about it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Tom Marks, where can we find you?
Twitter at Tom R. Marks.
What about you, Zach Ryan?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at ZachariasD.
And Pear Snyder?
I'm Per IGN. If you counted all the dragon references that Casey dropped, tweet them at me.
That's right.
What? Are you guys going to keep track
Yes.
now?
Yeah.
That's
We
not
want to
what-
know. We want to see what the record
called
is.
Dragon Marked for Death.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's
my
another one.
fault.
Tally it up.
Yep.
And I'm Casey DeFritas. You can find me on Twitter at ShinyKCD. Thank you so much for listening. You can catch us every week on Thursdays at 3 p.m. And this is also the only place you can
Get the thing.
Get the thing.
Wow.
Oh, baby.